Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon to those of you in Europe, and welcome to Todd Klindt's SharePoint Netcast number 222, recorded live a very sleepy Monday morning, November 11th, 2014. I am your host, and live over here in the colonies. My name is Todd Klindt. I'll be your guide for the rest of this Netcast today. Before we get started and start talking about all the great, fun, cool stuff that we're going to talk about today, I want to give a shout out to the folks at Rackspace. Not only do they send me paychecks once a month, which is incredibly generous of them. You guys have no idea how generous it is. They send me checks once a month. They give me fun flags to hang up, and they gave me another flag. I've been at Rackspace and SharePoint 911 for 5 years, and so I got a 5-year flag. It's clear over there though, and I don't want to get up. My chair squeaks and all that. All that, this monitor here that's got the Netcast thing in it, they gave me that. They've been very good to me. And all of these files and everything you're looking at and downloading all that is hosted on Rackspace servers. And so couldn't do this without Rackspace, so give a shout out to them. You can find out about their SharePoint offerings at sharepoint.rackspace.com. And a new thing we've been working on, and that we're going to be talking about a little more in the coming days is Microsoft Private Cloud. Rackspace is going to be hosting that now, and so you'll be able to have all of your servers and whatever infrastructure you want to have at Rackspace on Microsoft Hyper-V and System Center and Windows and all that, and it'll just be great. It'll be all that you imagine it will be and more. And this just in, I've been checking the chat room, and I independently verified with this a couple of sources. I said that today was Monday the 11th. Turns out it's actually Monday the 10th. This is what happens when I have to do this thing first thing in the morning. So we will go ahead and adjust my notes there. That today, from henceforth, today will be Monday, November 10th. Still 2014. Chat room will let me know if I got the year part right. Far as I know, though, still 2014. But go on to sharepoint.rackspace.com or rackspace.com/Microsoft to find out about all of those things. We would love to hear what you have to say about our offerings. One of the things that differentiates us from the other guys is that we're friendly. We're a small group. We're all tight. We're buddies. And if you've got a suggestion for something we could do better or something we could do at all, give us a shout. Let us know. Tell them Todd sent you. Though be ready for them to say, who? But okay, so the next portion of this morning's Netcast will be PowerPoint, not moving my slides. But after that will be the production notes. Shout out has to go to Shane and Jonathan for filling in for last week. Jonathan's in the chat room right now, so if you've heard any of the stuff that Jonathan and Shane have done, by all means give him heck for it right now. As most of you know, because this is how I know most of you, I travel a lot. I go all over the world, and I have tried for the last couple of years really hard to be consistent with this, to have a show come out every week. And that's something that, I listen to a bunch of podcasts, and I get super irritated when, like, the next weekly version of Cat Fancy podcast, when that doesn't come out when it's supposed to, man, that makes me mad. And I start to forget about these things. So forget about the podcast. So one of the things that I endeavored to do a couple of years ago is to be more consistent and do these things more consistently. And that worked out really well, but I travel a lot, and I can do them when I travel. The quality suffers, and honestly, I don't have a lot of headroom in the quality department in the first place, but the quality suffers a little bit. But then sometimes, during one time, I was actually on a plane on the way to Australia during a Netcast, and so that wasn't going to work. And I talked to Shane a year or so ago about it and asked him if he'd be willing to fill in, and he was, and that's worked out really well. So on times like Monday when I was out at the MVP Summit, we're going to talk about that later, Shane or Jonathan fill in, and it's been pretty good. The first few that Shane did were kind of rough. He didn't quite have his on-air personality, but with Lori's expert tutelage, we got the technology figured out, which kind of calmed his nerves and allowed him to be more of the repugnant guy that we've come to know and love. But they did a great job last week talking about stuff. I watched part of it. I watched enough to hear Jonathan talk about what a great guy I am and how much he loves me, and how he kind of looks up to me a little bit, like a mentor, like a father figure. I teared up a little bit, got a little wet in the corner of my eye there. So I watched a little bit of that, but it wasn't bad. So, but I think getting that out there is very helpful. Now, one of the things that I need to work on in the consistency department is getting those published, because obviously they're doing them because I'm not around, which I'm also not around to publish. I don't have all my machines and all that. So I downloaded their master file last week and then promptly forgot to edit it and publish it. So it is out on YouTube, and it's actually out in the download area, but I have not yet updated the RSS feed or blogged it. So I will do that today so they can get their 5 to 7 viewers that they will surely love. But that brings up an interesting point. If you want to get the latest version of this and find out immediately without having to wait for me, if you go to toddklindt.com, if you go to youtube.com/ToddKlindt Netcast, you can subscribe to that netcast, and then as soon as I upload the video, even before I blog it or whatever, you'll get an email about it, and then you can go download it. And then also, if you go to media.toddklindt.com, that's where I hide all those files. So you'll see the files for last week's netcast were uploaded like 3 days ago, but I just haven't RSS them or anything yet. So those are ways you can keep track of that. And I use a service, I can't remember what it's called. I've talked about it in previous netcasts, to monitor web pages, and I use that to monitor my own web pages to see how well that works. And it's changed something, I forget what the URL is. But you can also use that to monitor my pages, so when I upload those files, you'll see them, in case I get lax about updating the RSS feeds and all that. But again, thanks to Jonathan and Shane for filling in for that. And I wanted to give a plug out. We're early in the show. Probably still have a few folks listening. Jonathan has promised he's going to start a podcast as well. He and I have been talking about this. I've been trying to get him to do one for like 2 years now. He's going to start one sometime soon. I don't think we have a date for it yet, but once that happens, I'll give him a shout out, maybe get him on here and talk a little bit about that, try to help him drum up some users, some viewership. But once that happens, you'll find out about it here. I'll try to jump on there, see what he has to say. But thanks to him, he's kind of been getting things figured out, getting excited about it by being on here. Hopefully he'll get one of his own. But thanks again, gentlemen. And I use that term loosely. PowerPoint. Okay, off to the topic. So the big topic that I wanted to talk about first is why I left you folks last week, why I chose not to be here on a Monday night, or Monday morning as it is. Excuse me, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning here, and I'm still slurping on my coffee. It's because I was the big MVP summit out in Seattle and Redmond last week. So I've been a SharePoint MVP since 2005 now, so 9 years. And every year they have an MVP summit where they bring us all out to Redmond, and they wine us, and they dine us, and they tell us how pretty we are, and it's a great time. I've missed the last 3, and I felt horrible about that. So went out to this one, been looking to do that. Not only is it great for the attention that Microsoft gives us, and they talk to us and all that kind of stuff, but it's like a high school reunion. It's like all my friends are out there. There's not enough hours in the day, just go around and say, hey, I haven't seen you in months. Oh my God, how you doing? So it's always a great time. Had a blast. I wasn't back to my room any night before like 1 o'clock in the morning because there's so much going on, parties and people to hang out with, and just like sitting in the hotel room lobby and just shooting the breeze with people. Man, it's great. But a couple of other great things. So first off, I would tell you about what happened there, but a lot of the stuff that they talk about is not public. And so there's a very firm non-disclosure agreement, or NDA, that we have to sign before we go out there. And they remind us of it like once an hour on the hour. You know, like there's a little chime, and they're like, okay, this is your hourly reminder. Don't tweet any of this. Don't blog any of this. Don't tell your cat. Don't tell your parakeet. Nobody can say anything about that. So that's been that. So I just can't tell you what's going on because it's a non-disclosure agreement. But there are a couple things that I can tell you. First off, I can tell you I got this fantastically cool jacket when I was out there. That is not under NDA. So we got all this, MVP, oh yeah, focus, there we go. So yeah, this thing, very shiny. It's too bad that you can't all feel it. It is very shiny, very smooth, very warm. I'm dying in here. Between me having the door closed and having these lights on and wearing this thing, I'm about ready to sweat through my pants here. But very nice jacket, we got that. Now the other thing that we got is each product group So like Windows and Office and, you know, Visual C# and all that kind of stuff, they all kind of take care of their MVPs. So we spend a bunch of time with the Office folks, and they will often provide gifts and stuff. So like the Canadian MVPs, they all get together and they get red Canadian jackets with big maple leaves on it and run around and be hooligans and generally just, you know, ruin the summit for everybody else. Much loved my Canadian brothers, but now if the Americans did it, that wouldn't be any fun because we're like, you know, 4/5 of the crowd there. But the product groups can give their MVPs gifts. So this again, you have to remember that this is at an event that is heavily under NDA, that is obnoxiously under NDA, that we are constantly reminded that we are under NDA, that we can't take pictures or record or tweet or anything. So the Office team, and this is going to seem like I'm ungrateful, but I'm not. It's just funny, and I got to make fun of it. The Office team decided to give us gifts, which is pretty cool. What did they give us? GoPro cameras. They gave 300 people GoPro cameras at an event where they have beaten it into our heads for several days that we can't actually record anything. So, man, I don't know what to say. So the reason that they did it, and their thinking was good, was that they asked us, they had a contest, and they asked us, all of us that got these GoPro cameras, to record a 45-second or less video on why it was great to be an MVP. They gave us a little sheet that said, you know, answer one of these 3 questions, upload it to this Yammer thing, whatever Yammer is, and then they were drawn for a Surface Pro 3. So I mean, they did it for a good reason. It was you know, marketing the videos, but it was just hysterical that for, you know, every session, every time anybody entered the room, they're like, whatever you do, don't record this. And then there's like 300 of us sitting with these bags on our desks. Every one of us had one of these GoPros in our bags. But the GoPro is cool. I've been looking at buying one of these. Not that I do any extreme stuff like, you know, skiing or mountain biking or bear wrestling or getting up off the couch for really any reason at all. But they're just really cool little technology. Number one, this thing is tiny. I'm actually doing like a Lord of the Rings thing to make it look bigger. I've got it closer to the camera, and but really it's about the size of a quarter or so. It's pretty tiny. And the functionality is just amazing. It came with a little case here that makes it waterproof, so I can take it in the shower with me, I guess. I don't know if there's a big demand for those kind of videos, but anyway, it's got this. It came with a chest strap that that goes on, so like if I'm doing yard work or something, I guess, I can put it on. But just the technology is great. But the other thing that's cool is there's no viewfinder or anything on here to keep it small. There's an app that runs on your phone or your tablet or whatever that streams the video live and lets you control the thing. It is just super amazing. And if you've got one of those drones like I do, but if you haven't crashed it into a tree like I have, a bunch of them, you can do this, hook this to it and get video. They're just super cool pieces of technology. So again, I kid, I laugh, but it's all out of love. Thanks to the Office team for giving this. It's kind of fun. I think my cat's going to wear this because it's pretty good. Barney in the chat room is suggesting that I strap this to my head when configuring a SharePoint farm. You know, that's not a bad idea. I might do that. So that was mostly what happened at the MVP Summit, but again, saw a bunch of great friends and just had a blast. And so I look forward to going out there next year. I don't know when it is next year, but that was good time. All right. While I was out there, so whenever I travel, I always feel like I'm out of touch because, you know, we've all got our processes. We watch the news or read websites or, you know, sit around the water cooler and talk about all that stuff. But when I'm traveling, I just kind of feel like I'm out of the loop. But last week, a couple of things jumped into the news that were kind of exciting that I wanted to talk about just for a little bit. The first was they announced like Monday or Tuesday that Office 2013, well, I guess Microsoft and Dropbox announced the strategic partnership that will embed Dropbox into Office. So if you've got Office 2013, you know how when you save a file or save as, you've got some of your quick locations and all that up there, and it's going to show you OneDrive, it's going to show you your local computer and all that kind of stuff. Well, now OneDrive or a Dropbox is going to bolt right into that, and that's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of OneDrive and Dropbox, but I use Dropbox more, and I published a blog post on it a couple of months ago on why I prefer Dropbox to OneDrive, and so that was funny. I published that like on a Friday night on why I prefer Dropbox. By the way, Friday night's a terrible time to post blog posts, but anyway, posted that on why I prefer Dropbox, and one of the things that I mentioned was OneDrive's 2 gig file size limit, that I have files larger than 2 gig that I want to use sometimes, like the video files for this podcast, for instance. And lo and behold, like Monday or Tuesday morning, they announced that they had removed the 2 gig file size limit in OneDrive. I take full credit for that. People have been complaining about that file size limit in OneDrive for years, literally years. One blog post from this guy, fixed in 3 days. So if you guys have anything else you need me to take care of, just drop me a line. I clearly have friends in high places. But anyway, that was one of a couple of things. There's some sharing things, selective sharing things that I like better in Dropbox and OneDrive. So I was happy to see this because honestly, I end up saving a lot of documents in OneDrive. But this is a good thing. Now, it might seem a little confusing for Microsoft to give such clout to Dropbox when they've got a competing product, OneDrive, or 2 competing products, OneDrive and OneDrive for Business. Or I was talking to some of my friends from Australia. Apparently the way they refer to it down there is OneDrive for Business and OneDrive for Pleasure. So I'm apparently putting the wrong things in my OneDrive because I would have never considered calling it OneDrive for Pleasure. But that's that's what they call it, OneDrive for Pleasure. But anyway, conceivably 2 competing products. But one of the things that Microsoft has been hitting hard recently is this whole, mobile first, cloud first. And they just want everybody everywhere to use their software. And in this case, that software is Office. And they think that having this tight Dropbox integration is one of the things that will help sell seats for Office, and so they're going to do it. Now, they're not abandoning OneDrive by any stretch of the word. I think OneDrive is just going to get better and better, but this does put a little bit of pressure on the OneDrive team to step things up a little bit. But I think Dropbox is pretty good. I pay $100 a year so that I get a terabyte of Dropbox space, and I use it a lot. I shuffle all kinds of things around. It's all over. And another great thing that they announced was that part of this strategic partnership was that Dropbox is going to be providing a full Windows Phone client, because right now their OneDrive, they don't have an official OneDrive client. Some other people have provided OneDrive clients, and while they work fine, there's some security concerns about that. If I use Jim Bob's Dropbox client on my Windows Phone, I have to give that client certain permissions, and I have to give it my username and password or authorize it or whatever. And then if somebody, so let's say Jim Bob is completely above board. Jim Bob is the most respectable guy ever. He would rather lose a finger than lose any of your data. But let's say that Jim Bob, while his heart is in the right place, his programming skills are not great. Now for somebody to steal my Dropbox files, all those videos I take of myself in the shower with my GoPro, they don't have to hack Dropbox, which has, huge security team and has had every kind of attack imaginable done against them. Now they just need to attack Jim Bob and his software. And if they can find an exploit in Jim Bob's software, they can bounce then into my Dropbox. So I'm always hesitant to use third-party cloud file programs. Not that I have anything in any of my cloud things that anybody would care about, but it just makes me feel a little ooky. So one of the things that Dropbox has announced is they will be providing a Windows Phone client at some point. They didn't give a date, but I'm pretty excited about that. Though I have sad news about Windows Phone later. You'll all want to get your hankies ready. Bring a tear to your eye. But that was pretty cool, tighter integration with Dropbox. Is if they couldn't do any more for us later this last week, and I think maybe this weekend for Android, Microsoft announced that Office for Android and iOS is free now. I'm going to give that a minute to sink in while I drink some coffee. Give that a minute to sink in. So Microsoft released the iOS version of Office a while back, but it required an Office 365 subscription before you could use it. And they recently released that, so now you just need a Microsoft login. It's like a Hotmail, a Passport, whatever they call that. And then you can use Office for free, which is pretty cool. Having had various Android devices and Palm devices back in the day and all that, reading Office documents was always a tough part because that's what everybody uses and everybody emails and all that. So finding one that damaged your documents less than the rest was like finding gold. So having native Office clients on your iPad and your Android tablet and all that is awesome. Will make things so much easier. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing those things. Now, I don't have any, iOS devices. My wife's got an Android phone. I think I've gotten rid of all my Android tablets, but I know enough people that use them that'll be good to see what that works. So Microsoft is super serious about this whole cloud first, mobile first thing. And a couple of things they've done in the last week prove that. On a similar note, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago and did a terrible job, so I kind of wanted to circle back to that. 2 or 3 weeks ago, Microsoft announced that for certain Office 365 products or certain Office 365 SKUs, you would get unlimited OneDrive storage with that. Now, I don't know if it's unlimited the way that my cable modem bandwidth is unlimited, which is not anymore, but unlimited storage. But at the time, I kind of made a joke about it because it was certain Office 365 SKUs. So it was like Office 365 Personal, Office 365 Student, and Office 365 Dog. All of them, but Office 365 Business or Enterprise or whatever. And I also made a joke that, when you bought Office 365, you got OneDrive for Business, but then OneDrive for pleasure for free, and it was all very confusing. So I talked to some folks at Microsoft last week. This was at lunch, so it was not under NDA. I can share it with you. But they explained it much better, and had I stopped to think about it for 30 seconds, it would have made better sense to me also. But not all of the Office 365 SKUs get SharePoint, and therefore don't get OneDrive for Business, because OneDrive for Business is just your SharePoint shared documents library. And so for those other SKUs, Office 365 Student, Office 365 Home, their storage has always been in OneDrive for pleasure, for fun, whatever. And so for those folks who've had that for the last year, they've always had OneDrive, not for business, to store their stuff. So it's the place that they're used to storing stuff anyway, so that storage place is now unlimited. So it makes perfect sense once I stop to think about the fact that not all Office 365 SKUs came with SharePoint. Some used, leveraged OneDrive, the consumer product, and so now that product was now unlimited. So it's still a pretty cool thing. But again, I talked about before, now I'm at the point where, I can store unlimited stuff in OneDrive, but my cable modem's throttled, so I can't actually use the bandwidth. I'll have to take a floppy drive over to somebody's house and use some of their bandwidth or something. So that makes a lot more sense now that I understand that. So thanks to the folks that explained that to me. So I did mention earlier that some Windows Phone stuff, and I use my Windows Phone. It's tough for me to talk about. I'm going to need a minute here. There's almost been a death in the family. So as you know, and I've talked about it much on this show, I've got my beloved Lumia 920 here that I got a year ago, and it's been my constant companion since last fall. It has seen me through good times and through bad. It's taken pictures of many of those times. It's been a lot of fun for me. And when Microsoft announced the new Lumia phones here a week or so ago, or a month ago, the 830 and the 635 and all that, none of them could ever take the place of my beloved Lumia 920. So Thursday, I'm coming home from the MVP Summit and made it all the way home. Fate was shining on me. I got upgraded for my first leg, so I flew first class from Seattle to Minneapolis, and then I got to Minneapolis so early that I actually got there in time for a flight before my flight home, so I got on another flight, so I got home like 2 hours early. Things could not get better. And then I got out of my car and I grabbed my phone because I've been listening to podcasts on the drive. Had it in my hand, went to the back of my car to open up the hatch to get my bag out, and went to slip my phone in my front pocket and missed my pocket, and instead just apparently threw my phone on the ground and shattered the screen. It's dead, Jim. Actually, it's not dead. The screen still works. It's just, I don't know if you can see good there. Horribly shattered. So I feel bad. I feel like I let my little buddy down here. I feel like I should have taken better care of it. So the old 920 here, I think it's I don't know what we're gonna do. Might have to replace the screen, something like that. I don't know. But one of the things that I did a long time ago, you guys will remember last year, a big problem that I had was I ordered Xbox Music for a year, and part of that is I got a free 520, Lumia 520. So I just popped my SIM and my memory card out of, or I guess that doesn't have a memory card, but popped my SIM out and put it in here and was up and going. I will tell you that the 520 is significantly sluggisher than the 920. I'm missing my 920 already. So now I need to decide if I want to get another 920, get the screen fixed on this. That'll probably be about $100. Get an 830, which is kind of the new side grade is what they're calling it to this thing. And but it's been sad. This thing's been rock solid. I still feel like I could kill a man with it, but it hit right on the corner, just at a very sensitive spot. The Achilles heel, if you will, of my 920 shattered the screen. So if y'all wanted to take a moment of silence and wipe the tears away, the screen gets kind of fuzzy when you got tears in your eyes. But hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll know for sure what I'm going to do, if I'm going to keep a 920 or get an 830 or whatever. But that was very sad. I got home just full of emotion, excited to see my family, and then shattered my phone. But the 520 is keeping me going. If you've got my phone number, you can still text me. I'll still answer. It'll just show up on here. So, and this brings me up in the chat room. Been talking about it a little bit. Lori Gowan got an 830 last week. So here in the States, I know that most of you folks watching live are in Europe. In the States, the 830 is kind of the new mid-range flagship phone. Functionality-wise, it's very similar to the 920, but it's got a few cool new things. And also, once I got the full Scion, the Windows 8.1 update on this 920, it started getting sluggish. I got that whole resuming ... a lot when I would switch apps or powered on, things like that. And so I might go that route. I don't know. We'll see. But the 920s, I don't know. If the 830 was just a little bit faster, had a little bit better screen, maybe I'd do it. It has some great things, though. It's got a better camera. It's got a faster processor. It's got SD card. It's got removable back, which it's got the charging plate for key and all that. So it's a pretty good device. It comes with a green back plate. Apparently, that's kind of cool. John A. in the chat room is talking about his 920, and he's got an OtterBox, which is a case for it. And yeah, if I'd had any kind of case, anything that would have made that thing fall differently at all, it would have been fine. I just don't like cases for whatever reason. I never use screen protectors, and in the close to 20 years that I've had cell phones, I've scratched the screen once on a phone, and then this last week. So I don't know. It seems like a good thing. But Lori's got the 830. She's been telling me about it. She's had it for like 3 days now. Can't stop talking about it. Can't shut up about how great it is. So she might talk me into it. We'll see. If so, you all can expect a full report on here, and I will talk about that. Another thing that Lori's got is she got a Microsoft Band, the little fitness thing. She got one of those last week too. I'm on the fence with that. I have a Fitbit, and I've had a Fitbit for a couple of years now, or whenever they came out, I forget. And it's been okay. I don't use it a lot. I don't think I'm appreciably skinnier or better looking for having had the Fitbit, but it's a fun little toy. I mean, I can appreciate the gadgetness of it. So while the Band is cool, and if you haven't seen anything about the Microsoft Band, go out to any tech blog, whatever. You can't avoid reviews of it. It does some cool things. It's not just fitness. It's also, you can get your emails on it and your texts and those kind of things. But it's $200, and $200, I just haven't decided if it's worth that to me or not. Plus, you just can't get the things here in the States anywhere. You can't get them outside of the States, period. But in the States, you can't get them anywhere. They're sold out everywhere. And the Microsoft Store doesn't allow back ordering. So if you go to the Microsoft Store and they're like, we're all out, sorry, you can't even try to do anything with it. So it's tough. But we'll see. They do have a wait list that you can get on, but then they email you, and then you got to get back before they're sold out again. I don't know. We'll see. I'll wait to see how it is. One of the things about it is, and it makes good sense now that I've thought about it, but the face of the band fits on the inside of your wrist, or fits more comfortably on the inside of your wrist. Now, I wear a watch mostly as decoration, but to actually tell the time and stuff. And I wear it, face up so I can look at it like a traditional watch. The band has that part on the inside of your wrist, which kind of irritates me because I don't like the idea of looking at the bottom of my wrist for the time. Seems like more work. But I did some reading on it, and that is absolutely intentional. And the reason for that is because the face on the band shows stuff other than the time. It can show emails and text messages and all that kind of stuff. And so having that on the top of your wrist makes it easier for people to see things they shouldn't see. So if it's on the bottom of your wrist, it's more concealed, it's tougher to get to. And so, if there's an email that comes across that says, here's the new password to your ATM card, it's not gonna show you, up on top there. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. I'm gonna wait until see how people use them, see how they are once they're less hassle to get. Because I'm on the fence about spending $200 for one. I'm absolutely not on the fence about going through a bunch of hassle and spending $200 on one. So we'll see about that. But you'll hear more about that. All right, we're coming up on a little over half an hour here. A couple of things that I wanted to talk about. So, where's that at? 1 second. Sorry about that. That's just bad preparation on my part. I should have had that ready. So one of the gadgets that I've been playing with the last couple of weeks is one of those adorable little $99. Whoa, geez, don't shut up, big fella. Easy there. $99 7-inch tablets. And this is one from Toshiba. This is the Toshiba Encore Mini. This is a 7-inch tablet that won't let me log in. There it goes. Okay, so this is a 7-inch tablet that runs full Windows. And so it's not RT or anything like that. And it's 7 inches of computing fury. I've had this for a couple of weeks now, and it's been a good little companion device. It's good for playing solitaire or reading magazines or web pages or whatever. It's been a good little device. Again, $100. So that's like £7 or something to my friends in Britain, and I don't know, 14 euro. I forget what the exact exchange rate is. But fun little device. It's got 1 gig of RAM. It's got 16 gig of storage, and it's got an Atom processor in it, and it's a lower end Atom processor. So it's not a speed demon. You're not going to be folding proteins and finding the cure for cancer or anything with it, but it's a good little device. So one of the things that I've done that I haven't done in the past, and I'm kind of curious if it's of value to anybody, is I've made some videos about it just to kind of see what's going on. So the first one that I did was an unboxing video where I essentially just took it out of the box and showed what was in it, what it looked like, because there's a bunch of stuff in the box and all that. And that put that up on YouTube on my regular channel, the Todd Klindt Netcast channel, and that's gotten like 500 views, so that's not bad, not bad at all. And then since the thing has a 16 gig C drive in it, as you can imagine, once you get Windows and all that kind of stuff installed, that's pretty low. That's not a lot of space. So the next video that I made was a video on creating a recovery drive from it, because they don't come with physical media anymore. And if they did, you wouldn't have any place to put it because they don't have a CD drive. So there is a 4 gig or so partition at the end of that 16 gig drive that has the restore media on it. And one of the things that you can do if you mess the whole OS up is you can reboot into recovery mode. It will boot off that partition, and you can fix your tablet. But that 4 gig, while on a like my Surface Pro, I've never even considered deleting that because I don't have any need for the space. But on this device, that's like a quarter of the drive. So I made a video on how to create a recovery drive, which I have hidden. There we go. Put on this little USB drive here. So this is a 32 gig USB drive, which ends up being about 28 gig too many. You only need like 4 or 8 gig for it, but that puts the whole recovery thing here. And then if you want to delete that recovery partition, get 4 more gig of space. If you ever have any problems with your device, you can boot off of this thing and fix your tablet. So I made a video on unboxing it and a video on creating that recovery drive. I will probably make another video on deleting that partition and then booting to the drive, just so people can see what that's like, because that's kind of scary when you do that, because that's your safety net. And these things can boot from USB. I've confirmed that. So I've got this. I've got my Dell Venue 8 Pro. So that is an option. But a fun little device, especially if you don't have any Windows 8 devices, because I know Windows 8 got off to kind of a bad start. I don't want to get into a lot of the details on it, but a lot of people didn't necessarily embrace Windows 8 with open arms. And this is a great opportunity to get a device for cheap, again, 99 bucks, that will let you just appreciate the Metro interface a little bit, because it's got a touch screen. You can, I don't know, having a tablet was part of what switched me over to thinking that Windows 8 wasn't so bad. When I got my first Surface Pro and my first Surface RT, feeling that interface on a touch device was a big difference. And I just ordered a new laptop for home here, just something to putz around with. And I got a Dell Inspiron 7000 or something like that. And I ordered a laptop with a touchscreen. I don't use it all the time, but there are just some times now after having tablets and all that I just want to touch the screen and do something. And it's made that change for me. So consider that. I will say that these little tablets, this is not the first, nor is it will it be the last cheap tablet that comes out with Windows on it. And this brings me to another thing I wanted to tell you guys. The Microsoft Store is having Black Friday sales, and one of the things that will be for sale there is an HP 7-inch tablet for roughly $99. It's like $99 or $129 or something. Same sort of thing, 7 inches, 1 gig of RAM, so on and so forth. Great little consumption device. If you're thinking about getting your kids a small tablet, also not a bad idea. So I thought I'd throw that out there. Fun device, a lot of fun. Got my $99 worth out of it already. All right, the last thing, oh crap, I forgot to get the link for that. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was something that I saw on the Hey Scripting Guy blog this weekend. Oh, there it is. I love how Internet Explorer saves web pages between machines. So much fun. Okay, so this is a thing, I find myself doing this all the time. Starting with PowerShell version 3, not all of the help files are installed with PowerShell. And so I'm kind of a dummy when it comes to PowerShell, and I end up looking for help for the same things over and over again. Again, I'm just not very smart. But when I type help or get help, it's kind of a stub of the help document for that commandlet. So I find myself typing update help, or in the case of SharePoint 2013, update SP help, all the time to update the help files that are in the background, keep them fresh, get better examples and all that kind of stuff. But I have a few SharePoint servers that do not have external internet access for security reasons and things like that. They can't do that. So this weekend on the Hey Scripting Guy blog, they talk about how there's a commandlet that you can use to save those help files from a machine that does have internet access. So I think it's just save help, I think is the commandlet. Yep, save help, the modules that you want, and then where to save them, and then you can use that to update machines that don't have internet access. So that's kind of nice. I've wondered about that for a while, never long enough to actually do a get command star help to see what else is out there, but that's kind of a good thing. Keeps your help files up to date even on machines that don't have internet access. So that is all the topics we're going to get to today. I went over a little bit. I shoot for this thing to be 30 minutes every week. I've been 30 minutes and forever. But that's always the goal. That's my intention. Your guys' time is valuable. You don't need to be wasting it on this crap. Okay, so now we're at the shameless self-promotion piece of today's program. I think for this year, I'm mostly done. We're looking at the middle of November, the 10th or 11th, depending on who you talk to. So most of that, my travel and all that, is petered out for the year. But next year is already pretty busy. So the first thing that I got going on is in February 8th through the 11th, I'll be at SP TechCon in Austin, Texas. And I'm going to be talking about some stuff there. Apparently it's out on the website now, but I think I'm talking about upgrade maybe, and PowerShell, and I don't know what else I'm doing. It's out there. It seems bad that I don't know what I'm talking about, and it is bad. But the reason for that is because every time I submit a bunch of papers to one of these conferences, I send them like 10 or 12 different topics because I just want to make sure that they find something they like, because I really want to talk. I really, I don't want them to just go, oh, we'll bring Todd in, he'll figure something out. I want to make sure that they, pick something that I can talk about. So I end up submitting like 10 or 12, and then I forget which ones they actually chose. But I think it's like install and PowerShell, and I don't know, but it'll be a good time. That is February 8th through the 11th. You can go to sptechcon.com and sign up for that, and that'll be fun. That's like a Monday through a Thursday or something, I forget. And then in April, I will be, and this is very good for a lot of you folks in the chat room here, I will be at the SharePoint Evolutions Conference in London. Steve Smith has graciously agreed to allow me to come stand on his stage. That is April 20th through the 22nd, 2015, in London, England. And I've never spoken at Evolutions before. I could not be more excited about that. I'm like one of those little yippy dogs that runs around in circles and piddles on the floor. That's how excited I was when I found out I was going to be speaking at Evolutions. I don't know that Steve has decided what I'll be speaking on yet, but I'll be doing something over there for him. A bunch of folks from the UK in the chat room right now, so hopefully some of you guys will be coming to Evolutions. We can hang out and do stuff. You can show me around the city. I've been there a couple times, but I always like to chat with folks. And that's another thing. If you're at SP TechCon or Evolutions or wherever, do not at all be remotely embarrassed or hesitant to come up and say, hey. Don't even worry about it. I enjoy talking to everybody, so just come on up. If I'm talking to somebody, just jump in, introduce yourself, and say hey. And I would love to talk to you about it. But I will be in Evolutions April 20th through the 22nd, and doing who knows what there. Then in May, the big Ignite conference in Chicago. That's Microsoft's new combined conference. It's tech ed, it's link, it's whatever, and that's going to be in May in Chicago here in the US. No idea if I'll be invited to that one. They haven't started that whole process yet. I have been trying to bribe the folks that I know are picking the sessions, so hopefully that process will bear some fruit here in the next couple of months. But that is May 4th through the 8th, I think, in Chicago at the McCormick Center. Would love to get in there, and if any of you guys end up at the Ignite conference, I would love to see you. Looks like a couple of the folks in the chat room are going to be at Evolution, so that is great. I will see you guys over there in April. So we're closing this thing down now. Well, again, I've gone horribly over time. Thanks to all the Europeans. I did a terrible job tweeting out when this would be. I shouldn't have done it the week after I was gone, but I did. I should have gotten last week's out sooner so you could hear it. But despite the fact that I did everything wrong, a bunch of you guys showed up, and I appreciate that. If this is a good time, if 8:30 in the a.m. Central Time is good for you, whether you're in Europe or Saskatchewan, let me know. I'm open to suggestions. I mean, this is only good if it's good for you guys. So if there's a live time that works better, let me know. Can't promise that I'll change it, but I certainly will promise to pay attention to the feedback. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to be in the chat room for a while, so don't jump out of there just yet. But thanks, everybody, and I will see you all next week. Good morning, goodbye. I don't know what to say here.